Blog Talk Radio. Hello and welcome to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This is episode 24, and I'm your host, Christy Rosario, here in beautiful Los Angeles, with my co-host, the boxing prophet, Mr. Richard Solomon. He's in New York City. How are you, Richard?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm good. It's beautiful out here today. How is it over there?
Can't complain, 85 and sunny.
85 and sunny. Okay, sounds nice. Well, we're going to have a great show today. We're going to have panel guests today. Will be Clarence O. Nixon, Jr. and Charlie Dorner. They'll join us in a little while. And you can call at 347-324-5998. Again, you can call in at 347-324-5998. You can Twitter us at Real Combat Media. My Twitter is at BoxingGirl, BXINGIRL, and at Boxing Prophet 68 is the Boxing Prophet. You can find us on Facebook at Real Combat Media in the search bar. And we are going to have an exciting show. A little later, we're going to have two-time former heavyweight champion Chris Byrd. I'm excited to talk to him and find out what he's been up to these days. I mean, I've been watching a little bit about what he's been up to, but it'll be interesting. He's a good guy, and what a boxer. But coming up first, we're going to have Boxing Hall of Fame top-ranked matchmaker Bruce Trampler. He's coming up in about 30 seconds or less, as soon as I can tell you guys about the topics. We're going to have, later on, we're going to talk about upcoming fights with Deontay Wilder versus Sergey Liakovich and Anselmo Moreno versus William Reina. And we're going to talk about the exciting NBC fights that, we had the other night, the recap. Oh, my gosh, what knockout. What knockout. And I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about. I'm sure Prophet knows who I'm talking about, right? That was some knockout, wasn't it?
Vicious. It might actually surpass Triple G's debilitating knockout of Matthew Macklin as knockout of the year. And let's not forget, Curtis Stevens is from Brooklyn. Brooklyn in the house.
Brooklyn is in the house. Curtis Stevens, and I remember him as an amateur, very strong, and that was quite a performance, and wow. Okay, we're going to come back to that because we don't want to leave our illustrious matchmaker waiting very much longer. So we have, again, I'm going to tell you, he's the 2010 Boxing Hall of Fame top-ranked matchmaker, Mr. Bruce Trampler. How are you, Bruce?
Hey, Christy, how's everything?
It's good. So you're in my neck of the woods, or is it our neck of the woods now today, I hear?
I'm in Los Angeles right now at the very famous Wild Card Gym that Freddie Roach runs here in Hollywood, and having a great time here.
Well, I'm really jealous because I know you're there to see Miguel Cotto, right?
Yeah, Miguel Cotto just finished working out, and he's getting ready for an October 5 fight against Delvin Rodriguez in Florida. He's now being trained by Freddie Roach here, and Vanis Martrosian just walked in. He's going to start training now, and he's got a world title fight coming up with Demetrius Andrade. So the place is busy, and there's a lot of top fighters here.
I know Vanis Martrosian very well from the amateurs. He is a real nice guy and quite a puncher, the Nightmare. So I'm happy to hear that he's coming back soon in boxing. But Miguel Cotto, how did he look today?
Cotto worked with Freddie on the mitts. He's not ready to spar yet, but he's bringing his weight down. Now he's got a couple months before his fight on HBO, October 5. And he looked terrific. He's in good spirits. signed a lot of autographs because he's not from Los Angeles, so there's a lot of fans who were waiting for him in the parking lot, and he was very gracious with his time and saying hi to everybody, and so he's thrilled to be here.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm going to have to go and run into the parking lot myself and say hi to Cotto. He is, have to say, one of my favorites. But I'm glad to have you, and thank you for coming on, Bruce. I just met you at the Junior Golden Gloves in Mesquite, Nevada. That was quite a tournament. Did you enjoy yourself?
I had a great time. It's nice to look at kids, even though they're, up to age 15, and they're a few years away from turning professional. Still, a few kids stand out, and you make a mental note to keep an eye out and watch their progress. So in a few years, when they're ready to turn professional, you kind of know who they are already.
So that's really why you go, to kind of see who the prospects for, let's say, 10 years, well, maybe 6 years from now? Or do you go, I know you're friends with Bo Williford, and you guys are all talking and having a good time, or do you go and kind of catch up?
No, I just went to meet you, actually.
You are a charmer. Wow. Okay. Well, thanks. I'm really glad I got to meet you, because it was a pleasure.
No, it was a scouting trip, and, we really do start monitoring these kids' progress and looking for the kids who might be that one special fighter for a couple of years from now. I remember we saw Floyd Mayweather when he was 14 years old and tracked him for through the Olympic Games and turned him pro, and a few other kids. Miguel Cotto we scouted very early on, and some of our prospects today, we've had a line on them for quite a while.
So when you see a fighter, a little guy like Floyd Mayweather or Miguel Cotto at that age, do you know, like, instinctively, wow, this is something special?
Well, certain skills stand out, and Mayweather, we knew his family, Big Floyd and Roger and Jeff Mayweather, and so we were very aware of Floyd, and he had talents far beyond his years. He didn't fight like a 14-year-old. He fought like a 20-year-old, let's say. And of course, he took that on to the Olympics and into the professional ranks. Yeah,
we know of his big fight coming up September 14th. Who do you have on that one?
Who am I picking?
Yeah, who are you picking?
I could see Canelo winning the fight, but I think Floyd's going to win a decision unless Canelo really lets his hands go and gets very aggressive in there. I see Floyd outpointing him.
So you see him outpointing him, or you see that it's so close that the judges go for him, give him the decision?
No, I think Floyd's a better fighter, and but Canelo has a lot of skills, and it's a good competitive matchup. Whoever fights his fight, if Canelo is allowed to outslug Floyd, it'll be interesting in a certain way. If Floyd just asserts himself with his boxing skills, it'll be a different kind of fight, but we don't know yet till the bell rings.
Yeah, we don't know. I know everyone's speculating. Well, I want to go back a few years when you were actually a writer, and I believe you went to Ohio State. You were writing, and you interviewed a young fighter named Dynamite Douglas, and then we know who his son, wasn't that Buster Douglas, years later?
It was. I went to Ohio University, which is not to be confused with Ohio State.
Oh, my God, they're so competitive. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And, I was doing an interview for the school paper. I met Bill Douglas, and I think Buster was only about 2 years old at the time. But anyway, that's the first fighter I ever got involved with. And
so after you were writing about him...
It was more than a few years ago. It was 1967, I think.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? I was just going to say it was a few years ago, but I think it was, you're right, 1968 maybe, 67. So you were writing... you were writing a story on him, and then is it true that he didn't have any management, so you decided, hey, let me try this, and you started managing him?
Yeah, Bill Douglas, I think he had a 5-2 record at the time, and he was going nowhere. He was already 27 years old. And, he asked for some help, and I was able to give it to him and learn at the same time.
That's really cool because you know, when I was looking into you and your life and who you are, I mean, it looks like you've been a writer, a manager, a ring announcer. You do it all, and, of course, you're a matchmaker. What is your favorite that you've kind of, like, your passion? Is that matchmaking, or was it writing?
Well, writing is something I do outside of boxing, but I think I most enjoy being in the gym and training and managing fighters. But it just evolved that I became a matchmaker, worked at Madison Square Garden, and then for Bob Arum at Top Rank. So
you've been with Bob Arum since 1981, right? And correct? And
yes.
Before that, you were working with the Dundies, Angelo Dundee and Chris Dundee?
Yeah, I started with the Dundies in 71. I went to Madison Square Garden in 78, 79, and then started with Top Rank early in 1981. I've been there ever since.
It's amazing. Wow, what a career you've had so far. And you're still just about, 30 years old? So you got a lot of time left.
Yeah, right around there, yeah.
Well, that is great. And so you've been, since 1981 to now, do you feel like you've learned, like, a whole bunch? Like, I'm sure in 81 you probably thought you knew it all at that age, but looking back, have you learned a tremendous amount about the whole boxing game?
Well, yeah, when you're around great teachers like Angelo Dundee and Chris Dundee and Bob Arum and Teddy Brenner, who was matchmaker at Madison Square Garden, those are the greatest teachers anyone could ever have in boxing, and I was very fortunate to benefit from being associated with those gentlemen. Yeah, I mean, you have learned from the best, but I've also heard that you kind of have an intuition for what you're doing. And, something that I read from Bob Arum was that he won't, take a step before you, okay the fight. Where do you get that? Is it just like boxing, like you either kind of have it or you don't, a natural little talent there? I have no idea. I guess I just am a lucky guesser. I don't know. You're just a freak of nature. That is, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, I mean, when you think of matchmaking, and it's kind of mysterious, what exactly do you do? So you walk in there and you see a brand new fighter. Can you kind of take us through it a little bit so people can have more of an understanding on what you do? Well, on any fighter, it's like a baseball scout looking at a high school or college baseball player. You look at a kid where he is right now, and you try to project where he's going to be a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and you try to develop a game plan for his career. And if I do my job correctly, and as the fighter develops as we hope he will, good things happen. There's no guarantees, and sometimes guys fall by the wayside. They're not as good as we originally thought they might be, but you just do the best you can with each individual. Is that ever hard that, you feel at first that, this person has something, and then later you realize and you have to kind of let them go? Does that you ever get attached where that's a hard decision? That's the hardest part of boxing, is when you have to tell a kid to either hang up his gloves or tell him that we're going to release him from his contract because, we just haven't seen progress. It's very difficult because these kids' whole lives they all want to be world champions, and we've even released world champions if we didn't think they were, good enough. And yeah, it's a tough part of it. On the other hand, when a kid does make it and everybody celebrates and you're so involved with a young man's career, it gives you great pleasure and excitement to see them reach their goal. Yeah, that must be an elating feeling. That's wonderful.
But now, how do you feel right now with the whole, before you could watch fights and boxers with different promoters or boxers and different television stations would fight each other. How do you feel now where it's getting very, like what's going on with Top Rank and Golden Boy? Is that hard for you to deal with that since there's such friction?
No, because I know all the guys at Golden Boy. Oscar turned pro for us and fought for us for 10 or 12 years, and he won some major championships for Top Rank. And I like everybody at Golden Boy. But, it's just like Floyd was our fighter for a number of years and won world titles for us. The kids grow up, they want to go out on their own, and you just wish them the best of luck. And they do what they're doing, we keep on doing what we're doing.
Yeah, I know. It's just for, the fan of boxing and fighting, it's, hard because you want to see certain fighters fight with each other, and they can't now because they're, HBO is not putting fighters on Showtime and that sort of thing. Do you think that is it kind of silly that we can't, at least for the television channels, watch whomever we want on either, HBO, Showtime, NBC?
Yeah, I watch all the fights because at the end of the day, we're all boxing fans. Bob Arum watches every fight. He really enjoys the business, and he's 81 years old, and we're fight fans. Miguel Cotto fought his last few fights for Golden Boy, and he came back to Top Rank. And, the door is never shut. If Oscar De La Hoya wants to make a comeback, I'm sure he'll fight for us again because that's, where he had his most success. But, there's room in the fight game for everybody, and I wish every other promoter, all the possible success because good fights and good fighters are what keep the business going. We can't promote everybody. We try to promote the best fighters, but, sometimes other promoters have some other guys that we'd like to have. It all works out in the end. There's a balance and everyone's happy.
Okay, so at least there's a balance. But sometimes I want to watch a certain fighter with another fighter, and they just can't make the fight because, for example, what about Abner Maris and Mikey Garcia? They can't fight right now because they're with two different promotions. Isn't that a bummer? Doesn't that get difficult?
Well, sometimes people use the excuse that fighters are with different promoters or different networks, but the truth is if Abner Maris wanted to fight Mikey Garcia, he would ask his manager, Frank Espinosa, to get together with Top Rank and Golden Boy and make the fight happen. A lot of times guys, and I'm not saying this is the case with Abner Maris, but a lot of times fighters don't want to fight the other guy, and they use the excuse that it's different networks, different promoters. So the promoters often get blamed for something that's not their fault at all.
Yeah, that's a really good point because a lot of people, a lot of fans of boxing, they don't see that side. See, that's why I wanted you on here, because you have another point of view. And like you were saying, I'm sure there are fighters that make that excuse, and we're not talking about Abner Maris, but, a lot of people want to see the really good fights. So, well, we'll see. We get good fights anyways. But I wanted to congratulate you, Bruce, for being the 2010 Hall of Fame, Boxing Hall of Fame. I know you were inducted, and, did that feel great, or was it just oh, this is another thing?
No, it was very exciting for me. When you step up to the podium in Canastota, New York, and you look around you on the stage there, and there's Carmen Basilio and Gene Fulmer and so many great champions, Jake LaMotta, guys that I either rooted for or followed when I was young or had heard of. I mean, the real legends are up there, and they're welcoming you into their club, into the Hall of Fame, and you really can't go any higher in boxing than to be inducted at Canastota, New York, and yeah, it was probably the highlight of my career.
Yeah, that is quite an achievement. And, you know, I was listening to your speech, and you mentioned one of your favorite fighters, Johnny Tapia. And you said, I hope he is still with us when his turn to go into the Hall of Fame. And sadly, as we know, Johnny died in 2012. Like, was your statement literal? Like, I hope he's still at Top Rank? Or was this like a premonition because of Johnny's hard life?
Well, it was a premonition. Everyone knew Johnny was, he lived a wild and crazy life. And he would have been in the Hall of Fame while he was still alive, but he kept taking a fight every year, and they have a 5-year limit. You have to be retired 5 years. If he had shut it down when he could have, he would have been inducted. And, you know, he's a great guy, great fighter, and, you know, to me, Johnny Tapia is in my personal Hall of Fame forever.
Yeah, he was a great fighter. It was very, very sad. I know a lot of people that went to his funeral, and, you know, I'm sure are devastated to this day.
Yeah, I went over to Albuquerque and spoke at his funeral. They had it in the big basketball arena there, and it was very touching, very emotional. The outpouring of love for Johnny Tapia was incredible, and it was a special moment. You know, in his own way, Johnny was there for us.
Yeah, I believe that, and I know, you know, it's sad. I mean, it's just, but like you said, you know, he was kind of on a little bit of a road to destruction, and people could see what was going to happen, and, you know, it's sad. I wish it, you know, we wish it never happened, but what a legacy he left behind, though. Fantastic.
Right.
So, well, I know I'm hogging you, so I want to ask the boxing prophet, what do you have to ask for Bruce? I'm sure you have some good questions.
Of course. How you doing, Bruce? It's an honor to have you on the show.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
There are rumors circulating that this Sunday someone is celebrating a very special birthday, so I'm going to cut right to it and say that Christy and I want to be the first to wish you a very, very happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'd forgotten all about it, but thank you very much.
Where's the party? Come on.
And I've always thought, Bruce, that you always had a keen eye for talent and the understanding of how to build a fighter. Some of the other careers that you've guided were Eric Morales and Michael Carbajal. Can you talk about Michael Carbajal? It's not every day that a flyweight gets $1 million paycheck. His epic wars with Chiquita Gonzalez and how that came about.
Yeah, Bob Arum, who's a visionary and a genius, when we moved out to Las Vegas from New York in 1987, Bob said, you know, we're out here in Las Vegas. There's a whole market out here that's untapped of young Mexican and Mexican-American fighters, and we started looking in that direction because that's pretty much the demographic in the southwestern United States. And out of the, I think it was 88 Olympics came this, not even a flyweight, a mini flyweight from Phoenix named Michael Carbajal. And when we went to Bob and said, listen, we might want to open up Phoenix, Arizona using Michael Carbajal, you know, he freaked out. He said, how am I going to promote a 108-pound fighter? But little did Bob know, or the rest of us know, that Michael had a following and a big fan base in Phoenix, and it led to a number of network fights in Phoenix and in Las Vegas because Michael was a tremendous fighter and a great champion, and he pioneered the smaller weight classes. You know, previous to that, you'd had guys maybe down to featherweight, you know, Salvador Sanchez and Zuma Nelson and guys like that. But the kids under 126 really didn't get recognition. Carbajal pioneered that, and, you know, he made people realize that on television, nobody looks at how much you weigh. Everybody's 1 inch tall on TV, no matter what weight class you are. And they recognized his tremendous skills and talent, and that opened up the door for smaller guys, and that's my Michael Carvajal story for you.
And also, just one more question from me. You were very instrumental in the comeback of George Foreman, which eventually, as we all know, led to him becoming the oldest heavyweight champion ever in the history of boxing. Tell all the fans how that came about.
Well, George had retired in 1977 after he got outpointed in Puerto Rico by Jimmy Young. And he took 10 years off, and he became an ordained minister, and which doesn't pay a lot. And, you know, he needed money to support his youth foundation in Houston and his boxing gym. And George went to the mountain. He prayed very devoutly to God, and the message that George felt he received was that you got to fight again. So at age 27, he started coming back. He was well over 300 pounds, and people laughed at George, and he was a joke. But he worked and worked and worked, and he fought and fought and fought. And his first title challenge, he lost a decision to the great Evander Holyfield. Then he lost the fight, very surprisingly, to Tommy Morrison at a time when George was occupied with doing a TV show called George on ABC Network. And he kept persisting, and then he was able to fight. At age 45, he challenged Michael Moorer, and was, as everyone knows, he was running second in that fight until he threw a Hail Mary, a short jab, and then a bomb of a right hand. And to this day, George tells us he was just setting Moorer up for the whole fight. But he hadn't won 1 minute of one round, I don't think, until then. And it was such a tremendous knockout and such a dramatic moment. And that was how it happened. And George is one of my personal favorites. He was the minister when my wife and I got married, and he performed the ceremony. And he's a lovely guy, a great man, and now his sons are getting into the boxing promotion business. George, and George.
And Frida George, right?
You Frida George too, yeah.
I remember Frida. Oh my God, that's funny. That was a good story. Anything else, Prophet?
I guess there's one more. Christy alluded to earlier in the interview. You're a true Renaissance man. I mean, you boxed as an amateur. You're a trainer, promoter, ring announcer, publicist, Hall of Fame matchmaker. Is there anything you want to accomplish in life that you haven't? Like, what could Bruce Trampler do next to fade off into the sunset? What's on your to-do list?
Well, fading into the sunset's not on my to-do list, but I took a run at being a baseball agent. I was a certified agent, had about 15 players make it to the major leagues, and right now the direction I'm exploring is writing and producing screenplays, which is one reason I'm here in Los Angeles.
Oh, very cool. All on boxing, or are you branching out to different areas?
None on boxing, but there are a number of there's a wealth of great stories in boxing, but I don't want to stereotype myself with just fight movies.
Oh, that's very cool. So what's like your favorite kind of genre to like write about?
I think everybody likes action adventure movies, and that's kind of the direction I'm going.
Oh, very cool. So when you're looking for that heroine to be in there, you can always look at me, the warrior.
There you go.
I'm just kidding. But, I wanted, Papa, are you done, or did you have anything else? Because I wanted to we have a few calls, and I wanted to take a call, see if they're here for Bruce. Okay? So let's see.
Sure.
Let's take a gander at who's calling. Let's see. Hello, welcome to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. Who's this?
This is Dave from Illinois.
Hi, Dave from Illinois. Do you have a question for Mr. Bruce Trampler?
Yeah, I sure do. He mentioned that he was into baseball. I remember having a 1991 KO card in which he and Ron Katz were on there. One of them was dressed in a Milwaukee Brewer uniform, and the other one was in baseball garb, too. I was wondering, did Dean Chance, who was a former Cy Young winner and then got into the boxing game, I believe through Bruce's assistance, I'm not sure on that, but was once the head of the IBC. I was wondering, was he behind that idea, or just how did that KO card, whose idea was that?
The KO card, it was actually a Milwaukee Braves uniform. It was
right.
the Eddie Matthews Hall of Fame number 41 Milwaukee Braves. And
yeah, I'm Braves. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Dean Chance is he's one of my dearest friends. He won the Cy Young Award in 1964, and he became a boxing promoter. And now he runs the IBA, the International Boxing Association. And yeah, he encouraged me and Ron Katz to both wear our favorite uniforms for that card.
Okay, did you run that by Bobby Cassidy, or just take him by surprise when you came up with that idea?
No,
he's a friend of mine.
Bobby got a kick out of it, though. Yeah, he's a great guy. Bobby.
He found it.
Great writer too.
He found it hilarious.
Yeah.
I was also wondering, just one more question. What do you think will be the main change when Todd fully takes over for Bob? You know, as things progress. You know, I know they're branching into China with Zhao Sping. Do you see any basic change in philosophy between the two, or is it just so intertwined that Top Rank will continue as is, pretty much?
Well, Todd DeBuff is he's the son of Bob Arum's wife. He's not his stepson, but and Todd DeBuff is one of the brightest young men I've ever met. He would be a success in any business or any sport. He's brought Bob into the 21st century, and at the same time, Bob Arum has taught Todd a lot of things. You know, it's old school and new school blending, and I think Top Rank's in great hands going forward. And you know, none of us wants Bob to retire, and I don't think he ever will retire. But when Todd actually does take the business, it'll keep Top Rank on top for decades.
Well, very good.
Dave, thank you so much. Okay, we have to. We can't stay on too much longer, but thank you so much for your questions. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Have a good day. So, Bruce, it's been a great interview. I really appreciate you coming on today to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. And, well, you know, keep in touch with us.
Will do, Christy. Thanks very much for having me on, and it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to listening to the rest of your show.
Well, thank you, and I'm going to talk to you soon, or you may see me flying into Wild Card, or, you know, we're definitely going to tell everyone about the press conference on Thursday here in Los Angeles for Pacquiao and Rios, which we didn't even talk about. I can't believe it. Anything you want to tell us about Pacquiao and Rios before we leave?
Well, yeah, we're at the Beverly Hills Hotel on Thursday. Manny and the rest of them, they left New York today, Bob Arum. They've been on a 2-week tour of Macau and China, Shanghai, Beijing. Then they went to Singapore. Now they're in New York, and they're going to finish up in Los Angeles this Thursday. And then Manny's going to go back to the Philippines. And Brandon, of course, lives nearby in Oxnard, California. And then they're going to get ready for their November 23rd fight, which will take place in Macau and should be a tremendous slugfest.
It's going to be amazing. We're excited about that. We've been talking about it practically every week. And did you get to go to Macau last week as well?
Yeah, I just got back from Macau, and we're heading to – we have the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame this Saturday, and we also have a fight in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, Saturday night. So we're very busy right now.
That's right. You are nonstop, and then you're writing in between, and you're doing a million things. Well, good. Well, good luck with everything. It's really a big pleasure to have met you and to talk to you.
Thanks so much, Christy, and thanks to your staff, and you have a great show here.
Oh, thank you very much, and make sure you tell everybody Mr. Bob Arum hello, and we would love to talk to him sometime if he's available. I know he's another busy guy, but thank you very much.
You got it. Take care.
Bye. Have a good day. Okay, bye-bye. We're going to go to a commercial, and we are going to come back with Mr. Chris Byrd. That was a great interview, and just hold on. We'll come back in about a minute and 32 seconds.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. It's exciting. It's episode 24 already, and we are here. We have the boxing prophet that is here, Mr. Richard Solomon from New York. I believe we'll also have two photographs. Oh, my God, someone has their phone on or their radio on. Turn it off. Got to turn that phone. All right, well, let me see who's here. Is this Clarence?
Yes,
yeah.
it is. Hello?
Hi, Clarence.
Hello?
Hey.
Okay, so Clarence is here, right? I'm just making sure we have all our panel guests before we introduce Chris. Clarence Nixon, right?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay, good. Okay, we got you. All right, we have Richard Solomon, our boxing prophet, and we are going
here.
to welcome. Okay, I'm glad.
Here.
Okay, awesome. And we are going to welcome our two-time heavyweight world champion, Mr. Chris Byrd. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good. That was a little confusing, but we want to make sure, like in school, you want to make sure everyone's still there, okay? So we're here. Oh, gosh, so good to have you on the show today. I've been watching your show, The Bird's Eye View. Great show.
Yeah. Hey, thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Is it going well?
Yeah. It's going good. I mean, it's a dream for me to be done boxing and to talk to other fighters and get their point of view on boxing. And, with my struggles and certain things that went on in boxing, I want to know the other boxers, their struggles. I'm not the only one out there, or was the only one out there. So it's going good.
It's going good. I like it. I enjoyed it. I was watching the one that you had with your sister on, Tracy Byrd, who's also a former world champion. Was that cool to interview your sister?
Yeah, it was cool because, Tracy came on. She started boxing. She knew how to box when she was little, but it wasn't women's boxing. And then I think when she was 27, when she finally got her first fight, and then to know her thoughts about actually being in the ring and doing it, women's boxing and starting to grow. And, it was just great. I never talked to her about it. That's the first time I really talked to her about her mentality towards the sport. So it was good.
Tracy was because she was boxing when I was boxing, and she hit hard. She just looked like she hit hard. I didn't envy anybody in her weight class. I was like, it's okay if I never box her. She was awesome. Oh, my God.
Yeah, she loved it. I mean, she really loved it. She just wished, you know, it was like it is now. Like you have, you know, the weight classes for women in the Olympics. She wished she could have fought amateur and then honed her skills and then turned pro and then really sharpened her skills up. So, you know, but it was a blessing for her, as she said, for her to actually, you know, she watched us box for so many years and then it was her turn. So, you know, women's boxing really exploded and they're still doing well. So, you know, go for her.
I know. Well, let's tell everyone that Tracy Byrd had the WIBO light welterweight title. So even though she didn't have an amateur career, she had a great professional career. I mean, not everybody that goes right into the pros have that kind of career, and I do always recommend that people have an amateur career first, but she did fantastic. You have quite the, I mean, you have Tracy, you have Patrick Byrd, who is a fighter, and then you have your sister, Lori Byrd. I was reading that she's a professional basketball coach. So you guys are busy.
Well, she played, you know, she played at Eastern Michigan University, and she's the only woman that has her number retired from the basketball program. So, you know, along with 4 other men, I mean, and good, you know, NBA guys, and she's among them. So, and then she became a coach later. She played professional basketball in Europe, and she never got the chance to really play, you know, like WNBA. She was a little too old, but she still could play to this day. So, you know, just an athletic family. You know, I have 3 other brothers that, well, it's 5 boys, so we all box. And my brother Ron was the main one that got out there nationally, and then as a professional, he was 10-0 before, you know, he couldn't box anymore. Some things happened to him, so, you know, it just, boxing was in our blood for a long time. And I'm the youngest of the 8 kids, so I was looking up to all my brothers boxing before I even got on the map.
Wow, so your father, Joe Byrd, he just trained everybody, the whole family?
Yeah, well, he trained. We had a lot of fighters growing up. And my father, our gym was always packed, and we rivaled Kronk's gym. And
that's right.
Detroit. I mean, we went back and forth. I mean, I knew Emmanuel Stewart since I was a little kid. And, you know, Emmanuel always admired my work, even as a kid, and then through my juniors, through my amateur, and then professional, always trying to get one to train me. So, you know, it was a major rivalry between him and my father, his gym and my father's gym.
Yeah, let's tell everyone that your gym was in Flint, Michigan, and then you had the Kronk gym in Detroit, and your father, of course, would not let you go to Emmanuel Stewart and train there. I know that. So didn't your father and Emmanuel Stewart box together at the same time?
Well, yeah, in the same era. You know, my father fought in tournaments. Emmanuel Stewart, you know, people, I don't think really, you know, the new era of people that box. And he won a 1963 Golden Glove. You know, he was a good amateur boxer. And then my father went to the Nationals as a heavyweight. He only 5'7" the same year. So, you know, it's, you know each other, just like, you know, boxing community. We come through the amateur system. We know each other, especially if you're from the same state, and then you become, you know, I'm a coach, you're a coach, major rival. You know, so
right.
That's how it was. That's how it was for me growing up. I love, you know, guys from Kronk Gym. Every time we see, I never lost to somebody from Kronk Gym, but every time I see them, I you know, see the name and the name come to the shows. Everybody like, oh, you know, you're in for a fight. But at the same time, when the Flint boys come from the Flint, we were Flint Pal at the time. When they come, they know they're in for a fight also. So it was a major rivalry.
Wow, that sounds like a major rivalry. That's neat, though. I mean, it was like a friendly rivalry. It doesn't sound like.
Oh yeah, it was.
You know. And then you know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just said it truly was. You know, it was a friendly rivalry. You know, as we grew up, we all, you know, we know what was at stake. You know, you want to make the nationals and you know, win national championships, but you know you had to get out of the state first, so it was just a friendly rivalry.
Well, yeah, we have to we cannot be. I mean, I'm so remiss that I didn't even mention that you are the 1992 Olympic silver medalist. I mean, that's like my dream, and it's like in Barcelona Olympics.
Yeah.
You have the middleweight title there. Oh,
yeah,
got the gold, the silver medal.
It should have been gold. Yeah, it should have been gold, but you know, it was silver. It should have been gold medal. You know.
Well, you know what? Silver is not bad, Chris. Silver is quite impressive.
But I had the gold medal. I mean, that fight. You know, I was disappointed after the fight, after a boxing match, because of the stupid computer scoring system. You know, because of how it was scored. When I looked at the scoring, I'm like, I was hurt more by the score, the final score, than losing. Because the final score was 12-7. But the first round was 1-1. We were tied. Second round was 4-4. And then I lose 12-7. And I thought I landed more in the last round. So that's what I was hurt by. You know.
And this was with the Canadian, right?
No, it was with the Cuban. In the final.
Cuban, that's right.
Yeah.
You beat the Canadian. And then it was, that's right, Herrera, right? I believe his last name was.
Ariel
Hernandez.
So
I'm so wrong.
And so that's what I was hurt by. I mean, great fight. We had similar styles, but the score, you know, that means he outlanded me 8-3 in the last round. I mean, it still haunt me. Well, I can say hurt me until this day, because the anniversary is 21 years, August 8th, I lost on that day, where I knew, you know, watching Oscar De La Hoya a couple of fights before me win a gold medal. When he came back to the locker room, I was like, I'm going to have one of those, a gold medal around my neck also. But, you know, silver wasn't bad.
No, silver's good. But, you know, when you look back, and I know like what you're talking about, it haunts you, but with boxing, with the computer scoring, I mean, it's really, it's not like fencing where, you know exactly what the points are. These are human beings, so you can't kick yourself too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a referee, as a judge, I know that, because it's like I can be, you know, now we're not doing computers anymore, but when we're doing the computer, I could be on a 4-1, meaning that I could be the one, and I'm like, what is everybody looking at?
Yeah.
But, you know.
Very true.
So, and it's the angle of the ring. People don't realize for computers that you really have to, like the Cubans have it down. They train for that computer. They're in the middle of the ring. They make sure that the three judges can see them. So there's a lot of factors in there.
Yeah.
So,
yes, it is.
Congratulations. I think it's amazing. I do. And I want to tell you a little story, Chris, because it's so coincidental. I went yesterday because I'm an AIBA referee and judge, and we have to do a physical every year. And my good friend is a doctor named Dr. Mario Ficarola. You might remember that name. Well, I was there, and I said, you know, Chris Byrd is going to be on our show tomorrow. And he said, Chris, I have a story for you. He said, in 1992, you guys were at a duel in Naples. Is any of this ringing a bell?
What?
Not yet?
Yeah, and I broke out in hives.
Well, he said you broke out in more than hives. He said you were in a castle on a hill. You just fought. You, like, beat the crap out of the guy, but they gave the decision to the guy, the other guy.
Yeah.
He said that you went into anaphylactic reaction and started swelling like crazy. He said he had all this stuff in his bag. He started giving you shots. The ambulance came. They took you to the hospital, an Italian hospital, and the Italian doctors weren't giving you what he knew you needed. So the doctors went out to get some espresso. You were there with Timmy Austin came with you. He told Timmy to guard everything, make sure if they come back, and he started pulling out vials and giving you needles that you needed to get better. Do you remember this?
Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday. I can tell you about the whole event, and I'm glad the doctor said I beat the guy and they gave it to him, because he was I fought with U.S. vs. Italy, and we fought top of a castle looking over the Mediterranean Sea. I broke out in it was I'm allergic to shellfish. I didn't know it at the time. So and I almost died. I swelled worse than, Will Smith and Hitch. I was way worse than that. I mean, I was just blown up big time. And, ambulance came, and they had to rush me to the hospital. We were at the top of the castle, and they had to take me, by, ambulance down, and it was crazy. I almost died. But
that's what he said.
It was crazy, but, I just didn't want to die in another country. It was a great trip. Italy is so pretty, but that's one of my biggest fears is dying in another country and have to ship my body home until my family had to see it. I just didn't want to die there. So. Oh
my God! Well, I mean, you'd have to say, I think Dr. Ficarola probably saved your life there.
Yeah, he did. He did. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad.
He told me that you were swelling and the Italian doctors weren't doing it, so that's why he was injecting you. And then he said when you guys left and you went home, he said that your dad sent him a thank you note, that he knew how bad you were.
Yeah, it was really bad. And it's funny that, I tell my wife that I have one picture of me in the process. One of the boxers took a picture of me in the process of breaking out into swelling, and my wife see it, now, and I only could tell her about it. It's funny that, the doctor still remembers what happened. Well, I guess he would still remember. It was bad. It was bad stuff.
No, he said it was terrible. He said though that you had Chris.
I said, but I lived, so. I got over it. I couldn't fight on the second show because it was we fought in Naples, and then we fought in another part of Italy. I was supposed to fight on both shows, but I couldn't fight the second one. I was still swelled up.
Yeah, well, let's tell everyone, you were on this team with, amazing fighters. You had Oscar De La Hoya, Raul Marquez, Shane Mosley, Vernon Forrest, Jeremy Williams, Sean Fletcher, and Timmy Austin. So what a team. And I heard you guys were beating the crap out of these Italians, but you guys were not getting the decisions.
Yeah, it was like that a lot. I mean, it was funny because when the guys came, because I had 25 international fights, so when the guys, came to America, they get a fair shake. So we go over there, like I was in Moscow. I was in a part of Russia. I won in Moscow, and I lost in the other part when we went to a place called Alma-Ata, which is former now since the country broke up. And I lose over there, and I really beat the Russian, really good. And then you get robbed because it all depends on, because they rotate two American judges, one Russian judge. And they rotate every fight. Just so happened, I had the two Russian judges, and they gave them to the Russians. So, stuff like that happen. I always chalk that up as, learning experience. And for me, my amateur made me a really, for me, a good pro because I learned styles. I learned all these different styles fighting all these different countries. And when you start fighting against styles, it's all about the matchup. And you're like, oh, man, I got to figure this out. If you don't figure it out, you just get beat. It's that easy. It's that quick. You got to figure out your corner. That's why it's good to have a great coach that can figure out, what's going on in the ring instead of just fighting. Man, my father went on a lot of trips also. He's seen all these different styles. So when I turned pro, I'm like, especially early, I'm fighting All-American. I'm like, I see this all the time. Then you start going into the boxing start expanding across the world on the professional level. And, I lost 5 fights. 4 of the guys are foreign. And 2 of my losses to Vladimir Klitschko, one is to Povetkin, one to Ike Ibeabuchi, which they're not even from this country. And I lost to Sean George, but that was at light heavyweight, and that I really don't count that because I lost so much weight. That wasn't me in the ring. So, fighting styles, man. It's difficult, but at the same time, when you figure it out, it's a blessing. When you get in the ring and you're, for myself, I study all these styles all the time. So I start figuring out a lot of what I need to do while I'm in the ring and making adjustments. I go sit in the corner, and my father really don't have to say anything. I'm sitting down thinking, okay, he set me up. I know he's hiding his right hand. I can tell every time it's coming. I start studying the patterns in the floor, what they're doing in the ring, and I start catching on to it. I'm like, okay. And I survived in a lot of fights because I'm reading the guy the whole time I'm boxing him. And that was me. I just love it. To this day, I study everybody still. I already know what he's going to do. I figured it out. Some guys are still like a Floyd Mayweather. He don't know what he's going to do when he get in the ring because of the movement. You just don't know. Something come at you, he slip this way. He can make you miss, make you pay, can do certain things. But most guys are like, they do the same thing over. You're like, okay, I'm studying the pattern and what they're doing, and they constantly do it, and they change up a little bit, but they kind of fight the same way. Then you get that guy that's just like, whoa, that's a hard style. So that's how I was, that's me with boxing. I love studying.
I know you're the slip master king. I saw you just made these guys miss all the time.
Yeah, I tried.
You tried. I know you did.
Sometimes
but I want to ask you, Chris. Huh? Chris, I want to ask you. So, you always were like a small heavyweight, and you went from 165 pounds to heavyweight. I mean, how did you do it? Did you diet? Did you go to the weight room? How did you, what did you do to get there?
I trashed my body. That's what I did. I mean, I literally trashed my body. At 22 years old, I just trashed my body. I mean, I ate everything. And see, when I was fighting in a nightclub at home. I'm an Olympic silver medalist. All my contracts and stuff that was coming in had failed. It fell out. We had a falling out with everything and didn't sign with anybody. So I found myself fighting at home in a nightclub. And a lot of people don't know, they think, you get to the championship level and you head out of glory. So when I fought my first two fights, I fought at 169 and 172 pounds. And then after that, no fights. I'm off for a while. I was like, man, this is my career. Nobody wanted to take a chance with me. Because I had a good Olympic experience for a silver medal, but at the same time, it's this notion that, you got to be a puncher to fight professional. I'm like, for real? I mean, everybody, you got to have some punching power. I wasn't a puncher in amateur. I was straight finesse. So I'm watching heavyweights on TV, and I remember Evander Holyfield when he was at the Olympics in Barcelona, and I'm looking at him. He'd come up to me, he'd congratulate me, and I'm looking at him like, he's not that big. He's not that big. I could be a heavyweight. So in this time off, I told my father, I told my brother, and of course my wife, I'm going to be a heavyweight. So I was fat. I was skinny up top. I started lifting a little weight. I never lifted weights in my life. My father didn't believe in it. So I started lifting weights, drinking protein shakes, and I thought that was the way to do it. I didn't know anything about weights or the protein. I just heard protein to put weight on you. I was fat. I mean, I had a gut on me, and I was, thin up top, but I still kept maintaining my speed and movement. So that's why I never could grow into anything big. And people that see me fight on USA Tuesday Night Fights, on the early fights, they know how fat I was. I was real chubby around the middle. I mean, I looked bad. To me, I looked really bad. So, but it was my heart and determination. I had a, great skill set for the heavyweight division. I'm left-handed. I could make you miss. I wasn't a puncher at all. Not a big puncher. I stopped some guys, but I just, like I said, I trashed my body, ate everything, and made it look good for the scale. A lot of times I weighed in with all my clothes on, shoes, pockets full, and I weighed in at 214. It looked good, so I'm really about 206, and then I won't eat nothing. I mean, I'm drinking liquids as I'm going to the scale to make it look good. Well, I get in the ring, most of the time I'm 202, between 22 and 25. You know, so I struggle with my weight the whole time. And struggling with my weight for me is not struggling, you know, like most heavyweights struggle with their weight and they weigh a lot. I was always really low. So, you know, I just wanted to fight heavyweight, though.
Yeah, I'm jealous because you got to eat those cheeseburgers that I love. I had to, starve and not eat cheeseburgers to get to 132. So you're a lucky guy.
Yeah, but the problem with we go with the cheeseburger. Another thing about my body changed. I'm highly allergic to wheat. I mean, to the point where, highly. And I ate wheat all the way through my career up until I fought David Tua. When I fought Jimmy Thunder, it was on HBO. And we fought, and they were going to do an on-air interview with me and Larry Merton. I fell out in the locker room. I didn't know why. I mean, they rushed me to the hospital. And I'm like, man. And I was falling out on the local shows at home when I was fighting, or on USA Tuesday Night Fights when I was fighting. After the fight, I would be out. Well, I didn't know why. I thought it was dehydration. From the fight out, before I fought David Tua, I finally found out I was highly allergic to wheat. So I was having a really good fight, and then I just hit a point where, man, I struggled so bad. And I got through the Jimmy Thunder fight impressive. Everybody thought it was so impressive, but I was dying in the fight. And then after that fight, I fought Alicia Castillo on HBO, and they booed us out of the place. I didn't have no energy. I had nothing. I mean, in all these fights after that, no energy. I mean, it was nothing in my body. So until I got that corrected, and it still was hard for me. So, you know.
That's scary to be allergic to shellfish and wheat, and wow.
I mean, it was bad. My body is like the weirdest. So the guys I train, I'm starting to train, a boxer, a heavyweight from Australia. He's here, and getting them. And other guys want me to train them. I'm gonna get them all tested because I want them to be at their best when they get in the ring and fight, and not have all these different elements hinder them from performing. Because for me as a fighter, I fought through it. I mean, I was dead in fights. My body was just drained out, but I was like, forget it. This is what I do. Hey, you put it all on the line every time you fight, and certain things, adversity come, you got to get through it. I mean, I got my nose broke, got separated ribs coming in the fight. But you fight. It's just part of the sport.
So, Chris, you mentioned that you're training an Australian, and I know he's a heavyweight as well, correct? Rawlings, is it?
Yeah, Trent.
What's his first name? Trent Rawlings. Okay, so he's a heavyweight. Now, do you feel like since you're training a heavyweight that you guys can, it's easier for you to know what he's doing, what he's thinking, than, let's say, someone who was, let's say, a champion lightweight?
No, cause I fought at smaller weights, my whole life. And my thing is, I tell these big guys, dude, I know what it takes to get to the highest level. And I would say it to a lightweight. I would say it to a light heavyweight, a middleweight. It's hard work, and it's a lot of dedication. It's not, guys. A lot of guys you see get to a level, and even championship level, win a title, but they think that's it. It just began because everybody want to knock you down, but no, I don't think. Just because I'm training a heavyweight, that's all I can, pour into them and tell them that's what it takes to get there. I think for across the board, it's hard work. Everybody's gunning for you. It's different styles you got to try to conquer to be the best in your weight class. Different styles, different look, tall guys, short guys. It's all style matchup. So I train everybody the same, with the same mentality. Can't train anybody exactly the same because they have different styles. So, but with the same mentality and that putting that drive in them to want to be the best that they can be.
On that note, Chris, don't go away because I'm going to go to a commercial and come back. You'll stay, won't you?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, don't go away because I want to make sure if people want to call in and talk to Chris at 347-324-5998 that they can call in and they can talk to you. And we will be back in 1 minute and 32 seconds.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This is episode 24. I'm Christy Rosario, your host here in Los Angeles, with my co-host, the boxing prophet, Richard Solomon. And our panel guest today is Clarence Nixon Jr., or you can call him CO, whatever you prefer. And we are here with, of course, our illustrious Chris Byrd. But first, I want to give you the phone number to call, 347-324-5998. You can Twitter us at Real Combat Media. My Twitter is Boxing Girl, BXINGIRL. We have at Boxing Prophet 68, that is the Boxing Prophet, or Facebook, Real Combat Media in the search bar. I also want to tell you that you can go to WBAN.com and in the top right margin, hit on WBAN petition because Sue Fox has a petition going to try and get more weight classes for women's boxing in the Olympics. As we were just talking to Chris, he was mentioning about Tracy, his sister. She never got to go to the Olympics. I never got to go to the Olympics because we didn't have women's boxing in the Olympics. 2012, they put 3 weight classes, 132, my weight class, 112 and 165. Out of the 3 weight classes, we had 2 that got medals. We had Marlon Esparza at 112, got the bronze, and Clarissa Shields at 165. At 17 years old, she got the gold. None of the men medals. And so we really need to get more weight classes for women. There are only 36 weight classes right now for women versus 250 weight classes for male boxers. So please go to WBAN.com. In the top right margin, you can hit the petition, and hopefully we can get something done here. But I just want to welcome Chris Byrd back to the show. Hey, Chris, I didn't lose you, did I?
No, you didn't lose me here.
Okay, good. Well, we have people that want to ask you questions. I can't hog you, so I'm going to go first to my co-host, Mr. Richard Solomon, the boxing prophet. Go ahead, prophet.
How you doing, Chris? It's an honor to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, I wanted to concentrate on your 2 title reigns. Back in March of 2000, not too many people know this, but it was supposed to be Donovan Razor Ruddock who was supposed to get the title shot in Berlin against Vitaly Klitschko, but due to injury, you took over, and you didn't have a customary 6 to 12 weeks to get ready. You pretty much only were training for about a week or so when you fought Vitaly Klitschko in Germany. Tell us about that, and also tell us about the injury, how it felt. You fought your heart out. It was a gutsy performance, but at the end of the day, you were behind on all 3 scorecards when Vitaly didn't come out for the 10th round due to a torn shoulder rotator cuff injury. So it had to have been bittersweet for you. You're the heavyweight champion of the world, but the other guy was forced to retire due to an injury, and, you weren't supposed to get the title shot in the first place. So tell me the emotions that were going through your head in training camp and during the fight.
Oh, it was incredible. Training camp was no training camp, but fortunately for me, I was training for another fight. I was fighting former champion. His name slipped my mind right now. He's former cruiserweight, Adolfo Washington. I was training for him, who's about 5'11", maybe. Training for a short guy. We were getting ready for that. And then I get the call 8 days before saying that I'm fighting, Vitaly Klitschko, who I'd never seen fight. I just heard about him. He was 28-0, 28 knockouts. And I heard of his brother, who was, a 96 Olympic gold medalist. And I heard about the Klitschko brothers fighting in Germany because I follow the sport, but I know nothing about them. Never seen them, visually see. It wasn't an era of YouTube, so it was like surreal because everything happened so fast. I had to update my passport. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I fly to Chicago the next day. I'm in Chicago trying to update my passport. The following day, I'm leaving going to Germany. I mean, because, boxing is a mindset. My mind was like, I cannot believe I'm on a plane going to fight for the WBO heavyweight title. And see, I never, ever in my career look at myself as an opponent. I'm like, my thought is, I'm putting everything in every fight. I come to win. So it was crazy. It was like a whirlwind for me because when I got to Germany, the crowd started being crazy, and people really didn't know who I was. So I would go up to people and say, "What you think about the Klitschko fight that's coming up this Saturday?" And everybody I talked to said, "I give it 2 rounds. 2 rounds. They just put 2 fingers. 2 rounds, knockout." And I was like, "Okay, all right." But my thought was, if I can get past 4 rounds, I'm in this fight. And sure enough, if, you listen to commentating and the judges, the fight is not for me. It's for Vitaly Klitschko. It was his opening, his grand appearance for him on HBO. But the German crowd after the 4th round started cheering my name. I felt like a Black Rocky over in Germany. I mean, it was crazy. But, my thought is you fight. You just keep fighting. I tore my labrum when I went down to light heavyweight when I went down in the 1st round. I got stopped in the 9th. My thought is I'm not quitting. I'm just, that's me. And I take nothing away from Vitaly Klitschko, great fighter. But for me, if I know I'm winning, later in the fight, I'm fighting with one hand. I don't care. I'm not gonna lose my belt. So people can say what they want, but like I said, Vitaly's good. I went over sparred with him later, and we're cool. But for me, I'm fighting one hand, and I don't care what people say. A win is I got the win. So on his record is me and Lennox Lewis. So you get it and you move on. I couldn't look back and move on and fight.
it was a great win for you. And, you know, your resume speaks for itself with wins over Phil Jackson, Lionel Butler, Byrd Cooper. Later, you know, you defended the belt against your good friend Jameel McCline and Devara Williamson. But to me, your best run as a professional, oddly enough, is when you signed with Don King and you beat Maurice Harris and David Tua back-to-back. And then you went to Atlantic City in 2002, fought Evander Holyfield, who I thought had something left in the tank, and you pretty much embarrassed legendary Evander Holyfield to win the vacant IBF heavyweight title. And the reason why I brought up the Klitschko fight, what was sweeter to you as a professional? Obviously, both victories were great for you, but was it more impressive in your mind to embarrass Hall of Famer Evander Holyfield, or future Hall of Famer Evander Holyfield, or Klitschko in Berlin? Which title was sweeter for you?
I mean, I go with Klitschko. Evander, you know, I'm not bragging or, you know, thinking I'm all that, but it was my time. I knew I was going to meet Evander. I knew it was going to go that way also. I mean, just because of the style. When I go against guys that have, you know, the difficult styles and can beat them, that's where I get the most joy. And you know, for Vitaly to quit, my thing is I'm still hanging in there with him through the whole, you know, through the rounds, and he never hurt me. And I kept coming. I had to adjust my style and be more aggressive. And for him you could see the emotion on my face after the fight, after he quit from the stool. I'm like, are you serious? This is crazy. I mean, it was just I think that was just more. Both were great moments, but I think the Klitschko was greater.
But, and my last question to you is, you know, a couple of years ago, the biggest debate in boxing was whether or not Pacquiao and Mayweather were ever going to fight. Now it seems to be, who's the better brother, Vitaly or Vladimir? You had the pleasure of fighting both of them. Obviously, the younger brother, Vladimir, is quicker, has the quicker hand speed. Vitaly is the harder puncher. If they ever fought in the ring, who do you think is the better fighter? Who's the more complete fighter between the two brothers?
Now, early Vladimir was now he's settled down. Hard style to face. Hard style to face for me on both occasions, but it's hard because you have, you know, a major puncher, and you have Vladimir and Vitaly, a guy that, you know, he throws a lot of punches every round, and he got a pretty good pop too, but not like Vladimir. It's a tough, you know, that's a pick 'em fight, man. That's a hard one there. And really, over 12 rounds, if it comes to a KO, I give it to Vladimir. But if it go over 12, Vitaly's gonna beat him. You know, outwork him. That's how I see that fight going.
All right. Christy, I think someone else wants to ask Chris Byrd some questions.
Yes, we have a couple people that want to ask Chris Byrd some questions, so we will definitely get to them now. Let's see. Let's go first to, I believe this is Clarence, CO in Washington, D.C., right, Clarence?
Yeah, this is CO. How you doing, Mr. Byrd?
Hey, how you doing, man?
All right. First, I want to say, man, I've been a fan of yours for a while, man, and the fact that you won a silver medal, that's nothing to look down on, man, because the last two Olympic Games, no man can say that, you know.
Yeah.
So I give you props for that. And the question I have, I know that you are a defensive type fighter or whatnot, and you stood right in against the ropes or in the corner against some guys like McCline and Tua. And I want to know, like, were you ever nervous being in the corners while, you know, avoiding some of their punches?
I mean, I'm never nervous, you know, worrying about getting caught. It just, you know, it was part of my style, part of boxing. I was having a lot of fun. I mean, I never got. I wish I would have got nervous before fights. I think I would have fought better and been more cautious of stuff. But it was just the thrill of, can I get away with it? Can I get away with it? With this guy, if I get on the rope, can I make him miss enough to frustrate him and get away and mentally break him down? So to answer your question, I was never nervous, getting to the ropes or any of the fighters I fought.
Okay, that makes sense. And I got one more question, if I may. All right. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Clarence.
Oh yeah. You were pretty accurate with your punches, man. Did you ever think that, like, if you probably sat down on your punches, you could hurt more guys, or was that not your intent?
Nah, I'm not a heavyweight. I'm walking around, about 190, 195 now, and I mean everything I want to eat, not just age, weight. Come on. Now, that wasn't my intent. Punchers are born. I mean, you got guys that could just crack. You got guys on the street. If you get them on the street, they may hit hard like Tyson. I mean, that's just born. Yeah, you learn technique and you can put more in your punch. But amateur, I had over 300 fights. I probably stopped, in my adult amateur career, I probably stopped like 3 guys. That just wasn't me. My thing was I want to have fun. I know what I was. I'm not a puncher. So I'm not going to play this puncher role and try to sit down and try to get guys out of there and be this type of guy. What I was, I'm a pure boxer. I'll make you miss. I want to make you think in the ring. And once I get you thinking about every punch you throw, I know I got you. And that's where the joy was for me in boxing. I mentally can control you because you're so frustrated, you really don't know what to do, so I can do my thing. And that's one thing, in boxing, when you got guys like a Pernell Whitaker you watch, or now a Floyd Mayweather, you know when you got the guy. I mean, anything can happen, but now I'm making you miss. I'm making you pay when I want to. Floyd don't even throw combinations. He can shut guys down, so that's what I want to do. I just want to shut your whole game down and see how frustrated you are through the whole fight. That was fun to me. So I never really wanted to sit down.
Oh, yeah, you were amazing at that, Mr. Byrd. I appreciate you taking the time to answer the question, sir.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Thanks.
Good questions. We're going to move on to a caller. Let's get the caller on. Hi, this is Christy at Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. Who's this? Hello, are you there?
Hello.
Hi,
Me?
who's calling?
This is
That's
Dave
you.
again.
Hi, David. Any questions for Chris?
Yeah, just a comment. In 2004, I was at the Hall of Fame card, and I sat in front of him and Tracy for an Angel Man Freddie card, Angel Man Freddie fight, and Kirk Johnson had just pulled out the Lennox Lewis fight, and Tracy was trying to work the phones and get him that on short notice. I think it was like 3 weeks away. He'll never remember that, but he signed my VIP ticket, and I really appreciate that. I had a great evening. Like I said, he won't remember it. As far as the question, when he first appeared on the USA Tuesday Night Fights, he used to fight a style where he had like an open glove, where he would pick off the opponent's punches. It was not very crowd-pleasing, and he drew a lot of criticism for it, unlike later in his career when he took a lot of chances and was more fan-friendly. I was wondering if he'd stayed with that style, did he think it would have hampered his career or hurt or helped it, or not made much difference? Because he did kind of change.
Yeah.
What do you think, Chris?
I think it would have helped my career a lot more. I mean, I was more active, and I became more flexible over the years, and of course, age play a part also. But in my sparring, I was getting more confident, and I'm settling down, sitting down, fighting these guys, and I'm like, and then it kind of turns out to becoming kind of fun. Being in the trenches with these big guys, and I'm just worn and trying to make them miss in the trenches. But if if I would have stuck to my old game plan, and a lot of people tell me this, and even my father started telling me, like, you got to get back to boxing and moving, and I became a lot more stationary. And I just, think I would have probably been, a lot better. Maybe not, crowd pleasing. Nobody would have really liked it, and people complain. But at the same time, I think I would have, could beat more guys and not taking so much risk and not having all these close fights. I would have just outpointed guys easier, over 10 or 12 rounds.
And what do you think, Chris? Do you remember what Dave was saying about, I guess it was a VIP ticket?
I'm sorry, I don't, because so many people, and I just hope I treated you, with respect and not, I never came across arrogant. I hope you don't got nothing bad to say about me.
Not at all. Not at all of us.
I try to treat everybody the same.
No, it was a fan's dream. You were a perfect gentleman. It was fun watching her trying to work the phones and maybe boxing history, being made, and it didn't happen. But I was also wondering, you had your mother in your corner. We saw that recently with a fighter, Mama's boy, Dennis Duglin, I think his name is, or something like that. Can you think of any other fighters besides you and him that have had that be the case, where their mother was in the corner?
No, I can't think of, that case at all. I mean, I had my mother and father, and I had my brother. It was all family, and my mother been in my corner since I started boxing. She always been. And she's mothers, they protect their kids, and she's the one pushed me to a whole nother level. I mean, it's amazing what my mother pushed me through when I was in training camp, when the stuff got hard, when we watched tape and thinking the guy is tough. She looked at him like, he ain't that good, and that's my mom saying it. I'm like, well, I guess they're not that good. My mother said he ain't that good, so she pushed me a long way, and I can't think of any other fighters outside of the one you just said that had their mother actually in the corner every fight. My mother was in my corner every one of my fights. So I enjoyed it.
It was a family affair, which was really nice to see. That's for sure.
Really.
Okay.
Equal opportunity.
One last question. When you did drop down to light heavyweight, did you think about dropping maybe just down to cruiserweight? Because you looked really emaciated at 175.
When I dropped down to light heavyweight, I got on a runner's high, what they call for runners. I ran literally between 12 and 14 miles a day. And my diet, everything, I was not in my right mind. My wife tried to tell me, but I didn't want to listen to nobody. I'm like, I'm doing it my way. I'm going to lose the weight. I was on weight. I weighed 174 pounds at the Bernard Hopkins Joe Calzaghe fight 5 weeks before my fight. I was 174 pounds. It's even on YouTube. And I wanted to show everybody then and there that I'm a light heavyweight, and I'm going to be a light heavyweight to be reckoned with. But I was so concerned about the weight and losing it and showing it off, I never thought about the fight. I was horrible in training. I mean, I looked horrible in sparring. My training was terrible. I had no energy. I had nothing. And when I fought the day of the fight, I mean, right before the fight, before they said it's time to walk, I sat there. I didn't even warm up before the fight because I had no energy. I mean, I was dead. I'm thinking to myself, man, what did I do? And why am I in this situation? I don't want to fight. This kid going to kill me. And sure enough, I didn't have nothing when I fought. I mean, and I take nothing away from Sean George. He did what he had to do, whoop my butt. and he did. But I didn't. I was just thinking, I could fight a light heavyweight. I'm gonna show the world that I truly wasn't a heavyweight, and I'm gonna dominate in this weight, and that didn't happen. You know, it was a bad situation. I should have stopped at cruiserweight and then worked my way down eventually, because I walk around, at 190 now. I went and sparred with Vitaly Klitschko 4 years ago, and I weighed 191 pounds when I sparred with him. So, it's natural, but it was the way I lost it. I just lost it real fast. I just worked myself to death real fast to lose the weight, and then I stayed at the weight for 5 weeks. So it really hurt me. So it was a great lesson, for any boxer. Don't drop weight, immediately and think you'll get in the ring and have the same mindset you had at the weight you were fighting at. It hurt.
Wow. You have a lot of insight, Chris. Now I know why your show is going so well.
Yeah, thanks.
Being a champion and can relating to the champions, and it's fantastic hearing from you. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you for having me, for reaching out and having me on the show. I appreciate it.
No, it's been great. Is there anything that you want to tell us before you go about your show? Anything?
Well, yeah, check out the show. It's YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out the Bird's Eye View. That's BYRD. And I'm very opinionated about boxing, and I break down fights after fights, and just check it out. And there's more stuff to come. So, but that's mainly it right now. Talking to these fighters, I love it. Check out the show.
Chris, I know that you and your cousin, Lyman Brewster, you're doing the Four Champs promotions, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the Four Champs. Four Champs promotion, me, Lyman Brewster, Ray Mercer, Riddick Bowe, and now, James Toney added on, and it'd be 5 champs, and maybe Michael Moore.
Now you got 5, 6, 7 champs.
Yeah, 7 champs, and we're doing a promotion, search for the, next great heavyweight, out there. We're going to have, we're all representing a region of the country, having, box off in each region, then the 4 come together and see who's the best, American heavyweight. So it's going to be a great thing. I mean, we just try to search out talent. We have a lot of boxing knowledge among all of us, and can get guys to a whole nother level. And something like this never been done. You get ex-champions coming together. And the biggest thing with boxing, in my opinion, is for most guys, it's a lot of boxing on TV, but you'll see, one or two. You'll see one boxer here, one boxer there commentating. They're doing something, after their career, which is great. But it's a lot of us, that know boxing, want to be still involved in boxing. Some train, but most of us, is like when your career over, you're just done with the sport. This is all I know. I never had a job in my life outside of boxing, and I know a lot about the sport. I just want to still give back, and my thing is for the fans. I want the fans to, that watch boxing and love it to embrace it from the fighters now, from the former fighters that can give their opinion and break down stuff and make fans truly understand the sport. That's huge to me. I'm a big on the fans now. Now I'm sitting outside the ring and want to break all this stuff down all the time. So, the Four Champs is a start. It's going to be a great thing, and it's more that's going to be coming from the Four Champs, in the future. More just other stuff, shows and TV and all kind of stuff that's coming. So it should be really good.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And so it's number 4, champspromotions.com, right? .com. Okay, well, Chris, thank you so much. Say that again.
I said thanks for bringing that up, and bringing it to my attention because I almost missed saying, I'm involved in that also.
I know you're
Right.
busy, and we spoke to Layman, and I didn't even realize that he was your first cousin, and I love Layman, so he's wonderful. But I wish you guys the best, and maybe sometime you guys can all come on when you really get this thing going and talk to us about the 4 Champs promotions.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Well,
You'll see some arguments going on, but it'd be great.
I know. That's good radio. You know that. So, Chris, thank you so much. I have to go to a commercial, and, good luck with everything. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much. Have a great evening.
You too. Take care, Chris. I'll be right back, and we'll talk about Deontay Wilder and Sergey Lyakovich.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Hello, and welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This is episode 24. I'm Christy Rosario here in Los Angeles with my co-host, the boxing prophet, Richard Solomon in New York City. And our panel guest today is Clarence O. Nixon, Jr., or you can just call him CO, from Washington, D.C. You can call us at 347-324-5998. 347-324-5998. Twitter at Real Combat Media. My Twitter is Boxing Girl, BXINGIRL. And we have the Boxing Prophet at Boxing Prophet 68. Facebook, Real Combat Media in your search bar. Also, don't forget to go to WBAN.com. Sue Fox runs the Women's Boxing Archive Network, and she's been fantastic. In the top right corner, you can sign a petition to help get more women boxers into the Olympics. And you can stroll around her website. It's fantastic and very extensive. And we are back, and we had Bruce Trampler from Top Rank was fantastic, and Chris Byrd was equally fantastic. It's been a great show. What do you think, Prophet?
Been great.
Clarence, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, it's been amazing. A lot of information has been given out. Amazing.
A lot of information. You are right. And we are now going to talk about the upcoming fight. It's coming up very soon. It's coming up August 13th with Deontay Wilder and Sergey Lyakovich. Got to have a hard time with those Russian names. Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is amazing. I mean, he, in 2008, got the only medal. He got the bronze medal. He had only been boxing for, let's say, I think 2 years, from 2005, won a couple national championships, became an Olympian, got the bronze medal. He is now has 28 victories and 28 KOs by, I mean, it's just amazing. He's just won everything. He's fantastic. And then you have Sergey Lyakovich, who has won 25. He's got 16 knockouts. He's lost 5, and he has been KO'd 4 times, and he is the White Wolf. So, Boxing Prophet, what do you think about this fight?
Well, if my memory serves me correctly, I believe it's this Friday night, and it's the main event of a Showbox triple header. I'm looking forward to this fight. Wilder is a YouTube highlight sensation. He scores brutal knockout after brutal knockout. His biggest wins are against Owen Beck, Kelvin Price, Damon McQuarrie, and in his last fight he knocked out Audley Harrison. He is a little bit green. If you study the fight with Harrison, he threw about 13 punches, a 13-punch combination that went unanswered, and maybe 3 landed. So he is very green. Lakovic, to his credit, is a former WBO champion. He won that belt from Layman Brewster, and his only other significant win as a pro was against Dominic Wynn. But he goes into the fight against Wilder losing 4 out of his last 6 fights. He lost to Brian Jennings, Robert Helenius, Nikolay Valuev, and Shannon Briggs, a fight he was winning up until the 12th and final round where Shannon Briggs stopped him. You know, a lot of people think that Wilder can be beat if the opponent fights back. No one's really offered Wilder any opposition. No one's offered him a pulse. They stand in front of him, he knocks you out. Lakovic does, his best days are behind him. He does have some boxing skills. If he can use his jab and his lateral movement, he can pose a threat to Wilder. But at the end of the day, I don't think he'll last long. I think he's been brought in as an opponent to basically build up Wilder's resume. And I think Wilder gets him out of there. I think he had some tough moments early with Lakovic's movement. But I think Wilder gets another highlight reel knockout, probably stops Lakovic, I would say, in round 4, which is pretty impressive. There's not too many people who have fought Wilder have even seen round 4. So in 4.
So your prediction is round 4. Okay, that's interesting. What do you think, Theo?
Yeah, I think that this is one of those fights where I agree that Lakovic was brought in as an opponent, but he's a sturdy opponent. You know, he's one of those guys where if he's going to get stopped, it's not going to be early, or it hasn't been early against his recent opponent. He's one of those guys where he can be a sort of like a gatekeeper for prospects. It appears that way. But I think we're going to see what Wilder is made of. This isn't like a B-level opponent or A-level opponent, but it's somebody that's a step up from the guys that he's been fighting outside of Audley Harrison, who had a proven amateur record. But I think I think Wilder's going to win. It might be an uneventful decision. You know, I think that he gets a little sloppy at times, and I think Lakovic has enough experience to where you're not going to catch him with sloppy punches. But it's kind of like how when Freitas fought Ata, where, that was his first time winning a decision. I believe that was that fight. I get that kind of feeling from Wilder, where he's been knocking out lesser opponents. And now when he goes in against a sturdy guy, he may have to just, pack it up and win a decision and look good the next time.
So you're saying that you think it's going to go to the decision, or you think it's going to be a knockout?
If it's going to be a knockout, it's going to be something crazy. But I think it's going to be one of those ugly decisions,
Okay. So Prophet says round 4, Clarence says decision. I don't know. By Deontay's track record, the Bronze Bomber, it kind of looks like he's TKO. Hopefully he doesn't knock him out, but it looks like he may TKO him. Well, let's move on, since we don't have a whole lot of time, to our next fight, which is going to be on the 10th, which will be on Saturday, with Anselmo Moreno and William Urena. Let's talk about Anselmo. Anselmo has won 33 with 12 KOs. He's lost 2. And William Urena has 24 wins by 20 knockouts, and he's lost 2. Prophet, what do you think about this matchup?
Moreno's a very polished boxer. He's tough to hit. He's made 11 successful defenses of his title. In his last fight, he moved up. He got brave. He tried to beat Abner Mares, and Mares destroyed him. So Moreno's moving back down in class. Not much is known about his opponent, William Urena. He doesn't have any notable names on his resume, but according to his record, he does have power if you look at his record. So it's basically the boxer versus the puncher. It is in Marino's home country in Panama. So I think Marino dominates this fight, wins the decision. He's very slick. Unless, his skills have been severely diminished after taking that pounding by Abner Morris, maybe there's a little chance that Urena has the proverbial puncher's chance, but I don't see it. I think Marino shines and makes his 12th successful title defense to move back down, and the fact that his own country's fans will be cheering him on will be good enough for him to shine. He'll win 10 out of the 12 rounds and win an easy unanimous decision.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that it is the WBA Super World Bantamweight title, so just so you all know that. All right, what do you think, Clarence?
Yeah, I see it in a similar fashion. I don't know much about Urena, but what I do know is, when a Colombian has a lot of knockouts on his record on paper, there's a good chance that he actually has power. They produce those kind of punches or whatnot, but I feel like Moreno, he's been in there with punches. Mares, which is he's a pretty good puncher, not a deadly puncher, and he's been in there with Darchinian, so I don't think he's a stranger to punches, and his experience is going to carry him through. It's going to be like a homecoming, so I see him winning the decision as well.
All right. So you guys are on the same page for this. So it's going to be a good weekend of boxing. Well, let's move on to our NBC recap, which, whew. All right. Which fight do you want to start with, Prophet?
Yeah, I guess we should go in chronological order. Eddie Chambers moved down. Obviously, the drop down from heavyweight to cruiserweight really didn't do him well. I think he looked like he lost too much weight. But you got to give credit where credit is due. And if you listened to the show last week, I said this could be the upset of the night. That Chambers would, if he won the fight, would be given a gift decision. That
but let's tell everybody, though, Prophet. Let's make sure we tell everyone. Let's just tell everyone first who fought. So you wanted to go with Eddie Chambers, and right? You wanted to go with Eddie Chambers and his opponent, Tabiso Mchunu.
Yes, Mchunu. That was
Mchunu.
Yeah, that was Mchunu. Yes, that was the first fight of the evening. It wasn't very crowd-pleasing fight, but Chambers, as we all know, was a pretty successful heavyweight who fought Povetkin and who fought Klitschko and then moved down to the cruiserweight division. He lost the fight to Mchunu. I didn't even give him a round. At times he looked disinterested. He beat Chambers at his own game. He counterpunched him. He looked very good in doing it. Chambers needed to press the action, which is something he's not used to doing. But they say styles make fights, and I guess in this case, Mchunu beat Chambers at his own game. But I remember when Chambers fought Povetkin as a heavyweight, he dominated the first 3 or 4 rounds and then just basically gave in, and Povetkin dominated the last half of the fight. My point is that I just don't think Chambers has the mental makeup to be successful as a pro at a high level. He'll beat the C-plus fighters of the world, but as soon as you elevate his level of competition, he seems to fold. So I think, and even his post-fight interview back in the locker room with Chris Mannix, he kind of hinted that he may even retire. He doesn't know what's next. He may have to go back to the drawing board. All in all, while Mchunu isn't a superstar, Eddie Chambers' stock fell a great deal Friday night. Or Saturday night.
That's a good analysis. Prophet, I like that. I like it. Good job. All right, Theo, what's up with you?
Yeah, I'm actually, I was puzzled as to why he would leave the heavyweight division. His style has always been one to stand in front of his guy and punch in between his opponent's punches, because he always had that speed advantage where he could use his reflexes and everything. And it showed that when he moved down and fought quicker guys, he no longer had that advantage, and he started looking ordinary, if not subpar. And as far as his career goes from here, I think he should move back to heavyweight, because the guy he fought, I believe he's from South Africa or whatnot. The guy he fought, he didn't even appear to be like an elite kind of guy, and he was able to pretty much, win every round against Chambers. So, I don't think it's the end for Chambers because he still had snap in his punches. He still looked like he looked at heavyweight. He just happened to be fighting us. He just happened to not be fighting against the heavyweight. So, that's how I saw it, and I think he still has it in him, but just not at that weight division.
But you're right. Tabiso Mchunu is from South Africa with only 15 fights, while you have Eddie Chambers, who's had a whopping 40 fights compared to Tabiso. And, Eddie Chambers moved down to the cruiserweight, and as a heavyweight, you don't have to worry about, you can weigh in and you can be as heavy as you want to be. With a cruiserweight, he may have had to suffer a little bit in his eating. He may have had to diet. Who knows? I mean, I like Eddie Chambers. I like his nickname, Fast Eddie Chambers. So hopefully, like you said, Clarence, I think it would behoove him to move up back to heavyweight and, give it another try if he wants to, because he definitely knew that he did not win that fight. There was no complaint there. You can see it all over his face. So back to the drawing board for him. But other than that, we shall see. We shall see. I'm sure we'll see Tabiso again. Let's move on. So, Prophet, what did you want to move on to next?
Well, Tomas Adamek fought Dominic Wynn. That was the next fight on the card. They were former sparring partners. They sparred together. Dominic Wynn actually had a very successful first round. Adamek adjusted very nicely. The long layoff did Adamek well. He's been in war after war, and he looked fresh. And, call me crazy, but there was a violent collision of heads in the third round. It was ruled an accidental headbutt, and correctly so. And from then on, Adamek won every single round on my scorecard, won 9 out of the 10 rounds. I'm not going to say that Dominic Wynn would have been more successful, but clearly the cut over his eye, he didn't fight with the same passion and the same vigor, and Adamek dominated. But I just don't think Adamek can hang with the elite heavyweights. He's not big. He doesn't have the size. Sure, he has the career-defining victory over Chris Arreola, but he did lose to Klitschko. I don't think he can beat any of the Klitschkos or even a David Hay for that matter. But Adamek is crowd-pleasing, and he gives the fans their money's worth, and he's good for the sport of boxing. But, I just don't think he could beat an elite heavyweight. But he looked good, he looked fresh, and he dominated Dominic Wynn, winning 9 out of the 10 rounds on my scorecard.
Well, Tomas Adamek, he's 149, so he's got 51 fights altogether. He's only lost twice with 29 KOs, winning by KO. So, he's no slouch, that's for sure. Dominic Wynn has 45 fights, 23 by KO, and he's lost 10. So he's piling up on those losses, though. What about you, Co?
Oh yeah, I thought it was a good win for Adamek. I saw it as one of those fights where he can get some rounds in after a layoff, and he's really no slouch. The losses he had, I believe he lost to Dawson when he was at light heavyweight. I believe he lost to Chad Dawson, and he lost to Klitschko. So his losses are to guys that were at the top of the division when he fought them, and I feel like Prophet sees it. I don't see him, contending with the upper echelon guys at heavyweight, but he is good for that division because there are a lot of marginal heavyweights or even prospects that he can give good work to, and he can, show what they're all about. But it was a good win for him. And Dominic Wynn, I've been watching him since he knocked out Michael Grant, and I'm not sure if he, still has it because, that was about 10 or 11 years ago, so he's no longer a prospect. And, he just didn't seem to be into the fight after the first few rounds. But it was a good win for Adamek.
It was a good win for Adamek. You are correct. And we shall move on to I guess we could call it the main event, definitely the main event, with Curtis Stevens. That was, Curtis Stevens against Saul Roman, in the middleweight division. And this was for the vacant NABF middleweight title. What do you think of this fight, Prophet?
It was absolutely brutal. I said on the air last week I'd be shocked if it went 4 rounds. Curtis Stevens one-upped me and made sure it didn't go 1 round. He landed a brutal left hook that knocked Roman down. It was after he blocked a shot that Roman tried to land. He retaliated with the left hook, knocked him down, and then Roman tried to land a body shot, and Stevens just pivoted his body perfectly. And if you were a trainer and you were teaching someone how to throw a left hook with violent intentions, this is how you would teach him. And Stevens just landed the left hook, and Roman fell so violently with his head bouncing off the canvas that I think this could take the place of Triple G's brutal body shot knockout over Macklin as KO of the year. A lot of people may say Stevenson's knockout over Chad Dawson, this was more violent. It's not only the punch, it's the reaction that the fighter gives you from taking the punch. And like I said, not only did Roman go down like he was hit by a grenade, but his head just thudded off the canvas. It was very, very violent, not for people who were squeamish. With regards to Stevens, though, let's not jump the gun. All of a sudden, everyone wants to see him in the ring with Triple G, and the guy hasn't even fought a top 15 middleweight yet. There are rumors circulating all over Twitter that if the Triple G fight's made, it'll be on HBO. Other options he has are maybe to face Peter Quillen, which I think would be a better fight on Showtime, but they're looking to give Stevens the title shot in November at Madison Square Garden. But I think, Kathy Duva, who's his promoter, she thinks they might have jumped the gun with the offer to fight Triple G. And I think there are so many middleweights he can face even before he goes after a title. Guys like Felix Sturm or Matthew Macklin, Martin Murray. I mean, there's so many middleweights that he can face. I just think people are jumping the gun. He has power. He's a fan-friendly fighter, but he hasn't really built a resume for me to think that he can hang with a Triple G or a Sergio Martinez or a real elite middleweight.
All right. That's you always get those great analysis, Prophet. Very good. All right, Theo, let's hear yours.
Yeah, I think Stevens did what he was advertised to do. He went in there against, an opponent that was going to be there in front of him, and he knocked him out. I wasn't really impressed as far as, his stock rising, because he did what he was supposed to do. He's calling out Golovkin. I think that's crazy because Golovkin's last 5 opponents would probably go the distance with Stevens. So, I think that's crazy right there. He needs to step his game up before he starts calling out the main man in the division. But, it was a good knockout over, a guy that was supposed to get knocked out. But it was good.
It was good. Yeah, I think it was very good. That second knockout, oh, my God, when I was watching, and then, Saul Rahman threw his right to Curtis Stevens' body, and then Curtis threw the left hook to his chin, and, oh, my goodness, I felt bad the way he fell like that. But, that's boxing for you, right? And I can't believe that our show is almost over today. I have to mention that we have I don't have it, but my cousin Hector Cartagena from Rochester texted me and said, hey, Hector Camacho Jr. is fighting out here. So on August 8th, which I believe it's just Thursday, in Rochester, New York, if you're over there, Hector Camacho Jr. versus Lee Murtagh for 10 rounds junior middleweights. So what do you think, Prophet? Is that going to be a good one?
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. Hector Camacho Jr., is kind of past his prime, but we'll see how much he has left in the tank. He's always had athletic ability, good hand speed, and a good jab, like his dad, but he seems to have underachieved so far in his professional career, and we'll see just how much he has left in the tank.
Yeah, we will see. Well, I want to thank you, as always, Boxing Prophet, for being my co-host, and thank you, Clarence Nixon, our CO. We have to call him CO. It's his nickname, for coming on the show today. Hopefully we'll see you guys all back next Tuesday, same time, 4 o'clock Pacific, and that is 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the East Coast, back here at Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. You can always call in live at 347-324-5998. We'll be back and talk more boxing. You can Twitter us at Real Combat Media, or you can find us on Facebook at Real Combat Media in the search bar. My Twitter is Boxing Girl, BXINGIRL, and we have Boxing Prophet 68. That's his Twitter. Next week, same time, same place. We'll have more great guests, and have a wonderful week. See you later.